All right. I believe we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee Break Live for another Monday, 1 p.m. every single day, Monday through Friday, Central Standard Time. Coffee Break Live. How's it going, everyone? Kelf is in the house. Herminator was here first. How's it going, Herminator? Congrats to you, Herminator, on the big news. Dirty Socks is in the house. Jubersten is here. Hot Dice. Awa's Arc, Robert. Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we're talking about a very spicy topic, and that spicy topic is AI, the use of AI in the TTRPG space. Technically, it is should GMs use AI for D&D? So I originally was going to talk about whether or not we should fudge dice rolls, but that conversation got replaced by a conversation on AI, and everyone was way more pumped about it, and I wanted to talk about it, and I did a poll, and I'm going to start off with this. Okay, so we had 14 votes, which is not like a huge sampling, but 14 votes in a poll. Let me just share the results with you. So here's what the votes were. 21% of people voted AI is detrimental to the TTRPG hobby. Detrimental. This is what one of the votes was. 7% said AI is horrible, but it probably won't ruin the hobby. That's what 7% of people said. 43% of people said AI is okay. It's just another new thing. Okay, so the vast majority voted for that. 21% said AI is great. I love AI for the TTRPG for helping with that. 21%. And then 7% had a different opinion and said they were going to leave it in a comment. We have quite a few comments to go over, so I'm very excited about this. All right, now with that being said, I hope you will also drop your comments in the chat, because that's how we roll here. I'm going to cover some comments here, and I'm going to go to the chat, get the collective wisdom of the chat in here, basically in the video, trying to make it the best value possible. I drink my Rockstar. Let's see. Superfly Rob checking in. How's it going, Rob? Jason is here. Hey, Jason. Garrick is here. How's it going, Garrick? Herminator says I missed the poll. That's okay. There's still time. You can jump on it, but you can also just drop your comment here. All right, let's dive into this. So first of all, I started a dice fudging conversation in Discord, but then where was the comment where it went? Okay, so Kelf actually, I think, was the first one. It was Kelf who started this topic about AI. Not a Jester says, collective wisdom, I hardly knew her. That's funny. Actually, got my attention. Okay, Kelf said, I have a topic that may drum up some conflict. Should we leverage the speed and efficiency of AI, ChatGPT, as a means to enhance our processes as DMs? For example, if you want to put together a few details for the mining town of Whetstone, is it better to just come up with your own details or utilize various websites, tools, books, generators to build up the details, or just ask ChatGPT, give me the details for a D&D mining smithing town called Whetstone. Include the layout, some shops, details about a few important NPCs, and a few quests in the town. And this started a pretty big conversation, lots of different opinions, lots of different ideas. So Kelf, great job. Great job making everyone angry. No, I'm joking. Great job on bringing up a topic that everyone is very excited about. And to be honest, this is a really hot topic. So I'm going to just share with you some comments. Now, with that being said, I do want to share a link to the Discord. I'm going to put that in the... let's see here. I got to do this real quick. I was playing around with overlays before we started. Could not get them to work. I apparently need to learn a little bit more about overlays. But that's what I did instead of posting the Discord link. So I got to grab that Discord link real quick. If you want to join the GM Philosophy Discord, link will be in the pinned comment. I'm going to put it right here. If you haven't joined, you should do so because it's awesome. All right. We're going to go through here and talk about these. Got 20 people in the chat right now. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm super pumped about this. Super pumped. Okay. Blinken42 said this. AI has one use in creative endeavors, overcoming the blank page problem. If you have no idea where to start, then it can be a good jumping off point, but it's always going to be generic slop. However, it is good at spitting out 100 ideas, and one or two of those should spark enough creativity to get you going. Generally, my attitude towards AI is, why should I be bothered to read something that a person couldn't be bothered to write? This is what Blinken42 said. And then Kelf said, out of curiosity, what would be your opinion if someone pulled all the details for the town from online generators, using sites like Whataboo for the town layout, Thieves Guild for the shop names and stock, and Fantasy Name Generator for the NPCs? And then Blinken42 said, I would consider it lazy. If you don't want to create a town from scratch, that's totally fine, but there are thousands already out there that were created by people. If you want to create something, then create it. Don't let a computer do it for you. But if you just want to flash it the details, someone else has likely done it better than ChatGPT will. To be clear, I'm a professional writer and I do use AI tools, but only for research, brainstorming, and the occasional help with layout formatting. All of that said, it's your game and you're 100% free to design for it however you see fit, but since you asked for my opinion, that's it. All right, so Blinken42 just said basically what I would say is the most sort of, I would say, common argument against using against using AI for TTRPGs, which is, if you want to create something, then create it. Don't let a computer do it for you. So, basically that's the thing. Now, let's see here. There's a little more discussion about dice fudging, which we'll talk about on a different day. So, Kelf said, I really appreciate your perspective on this. I've been using AI for a bit as a quick generator for various things like NPCs, shop names, and stock and whatnot. So I'm definitely biased, but I'm very curious on other folks' viewpoints. Blinken42 says, if it works for you, then keep on keeping on. There's nothing at stake here, and you're, I assume, not trying to sell this stuff. At the end of the day, running a game is very time consuming, and anything that makes the job easier is a win. If everyone's having fun, how you prep doesn't matter. I just have strong opinions on AI in general, and those opinions color my attitude toward it in any particular use. Blinken42, I'm not sure if you're in the chat. If you are, I would like to know if you feel like your opinions on AI are affected by you being a professional writer. Because I'm like, my background, for those of you who don't know, was I was a writer, blog writer, copywriter, book writer, ghostwriter for years until ChatGPT literally ended my job. Kind of like it became increasingly difficult to get jobs that ChatGPT wasn't doing. And it became increasingly difficult to get paid near as much as I used to get paid because it became so easy with ChatGPT on the scene. My attitude toward it was not to be angry toward ChatGPT or to think it's a bad thing, but to adapt with the times. So I transitioned to becoming a digital marketing project manager instead. And then I launched my own thing, which this is part of my own thing that I do now. And I love it and it's awesome. However, I do believe that it's possible that a lot of people have strong opinions about AI because it is displacing workers. It is. There is no question about that. Writers and now artists and graphic designers and code writers are displaced to a certain degree by AI. So I'm wondering if Blinken's approach to it is affected by that. I'd be really interested in knowing. Let's go back to this chat for a minute. Kelf says chaos. Let's see. Mick D64 says, I like ChatGPT for ideas. Some is decent, but most needs a good amount of work. Kelf says, got to get back to work. Thanks for entertaining my question. Have fun, everyone. Fight nicely. How's it going, Kelf? Have a good day at work, Kelf. D. Coupark says, hello. Hey, D. Coupark, how's it going? Cognoscente says, I find most of the items I use as DM through Kickstarter. I tried ChatGPT and found it useless. Very interesting. Not a jester, not a clown says, they took mer jobs. Well, that is the, it is true that AI is displacing some jobs. I don't necessarily believe in being down about that, though. Like, it's a tool. It's a new tool. And we must evolve with the times, I believe. We must evolve to stay ahead of the curve. I know that that's hard, though, and it takes effort and energy and sacrifice to do. It is doubtless that people are going to lose out to some degree for AI. The question is, can you get on top by the end of it, right? Can you come out on the other end in a better position because of AI? This is a good question. Robert Evans says, I think AI robs the players and DM of creativity. That is the bedrock of the hobby. That's a fair point. Garrick says, technology always produces job loss. All the buggy whip makers are gone. Yes, this is true. Jason says, question, have you ever ran your ultimate story arc generator through ChatGPT to get anything for your game? Do you mean my ultimate plot randomizer? If so, I have generated many plot arcs with ChatGPT, or at least the starting point for them. Have I ever run that particular list? No, I've never plugged that list in and been like, pick out from these a thing. I just random roll on those. With that being said, I have said things to ChatGPT like, my players are getting ready to encounter a hag. What are some ideas for a scheme she might be cooking up? And then it would give me like 50 ideas, right? So I've done things like that, and it's very, very useful for that. Jubersten says, I definitely say it's used for specific stuff. I don't think it should be used for being a player or player choices, but as a tool for the DM, helps the DM. ASDF new guy 702 says, I use ChatGPT as a sounding board. Garrick says, but technology always makes more new jobs than it killed. I agree, Garrick. I think that's looking on the bright side, and I agree with that. ASDF new guy says, it's a useful evil for those of us with less time for prep. It does help with prep time. DQ Park says, I think AI picture generators being used for mock-ups for like drafts to get an overall feel is good, but I think I'd always choose a real illustrators and artists for a final product. Now, DQ Park, that is super understandable. And ideologically, I do not disagree with you. But here's what it runs into in the marketplace. This is what happens. So say you have a digital marketing company that's marketing products. Like let's say that company's marketing light bulbs. And that's their job, to market light bulbs. And let's say they have a certain budget for marketing light bulbs. Let's say they have $5,000 a month to create marketing materials for a light bulb company. And then they realize that AI art and ChatGPT is a thing. They could use, $3,000 of that $5,000 to pay human writers and artists to create the artwork or to do the photography or whatever, or they realize they could get real close with the ChatGPT and Midjourney. So instead, they only pay out $1,000 a month to a head editor who edits the ChatGPT words, and then to one graphic artist who basically manages the AI tools and lays them out into things. So they've cut out like 4 jobs. They pocket the rest of that money as pure profit and go about their business. And to be really honest, the client, the light bulb company, is none the wiser. And this is a wild thing. What if the content and images created by the AI stuff performs better than the human versions? What if they tested them together and AI performs better? I've been in digital marketing for years. I've worked for many different agencies. That is what you run into. AI copy and AI images do tend to sell more product than the human generated. So what do? That's the dilemma, right? That's the dilemma. Not a Jester, Not a Clown says, ChatGPT would never conjecture a plot for said hag to set the players up for a tea party. So Not a Jester, Not a Clown, I think what you're saying is ChatGPT could never think of some of the really cool human element ideas that humans are capable of coming up with. And you are correct. I definitely am not saying that overall ChatGPT does everything better than humans. I'm just saying that in the landscape of paying for marketing materials and whatnot, like D. Kupark had said, they would rather pay a human illustrator, which I understand a lot, but then that just takes us down this road though of like, that's a good ideological like frame to like set yourself in. But then we have the math, and then we have there are many like implications to that. And when you're running a company and you're charged with trying to get the basically the profits of the project as high as possible, AI tools start to look very, very good, especially when they tend to generate more sales. But anyway, okay, so DQ Park says, just like those AI game ads you get on YouTube ads. Not all. Just because AI stuff can perform better than humans doesn't mean it all does. Some of it is not good. ASDF New Guy says, I think it's really worthwhile to invest in a real artist for the biggest parts of a campaign. I've invested in character artists for my NPCs. I think that's awesome. I think that's super awesome. Dungeons and 20 said, I did make a video talking about AI. My love-hate for it. It helps along on all things nowadays. There's a lot of things old clients don't come to me for anymore because of AI. Shout out to Dungeons and 20's William in the house. Great to have you. Starships and Steel, how's it going? Are we talking about home games or published content? Well, the topic is very open to that. We're talking about let me see, let me double check here. Should GMs use AI for D&D is really the topic. That's really the topic. So I think that covers both of those. Nullify, how's it going, Nullify? Says, I'm an artist and I don't mind players or GMs who use AI art for their games and characters. What I have a problem with is when AI art is used commercially. Nullify, can you expand on that? I would love to hear the why behind that. Very understandable. I can think of probably 4 or 5 different reasons why you might say that. And I'm just wondering if there's 1 or 2 of those reasons that make you say that more so. ASDF New Guy says, any opinion on this take? AI is more acceptable the less you can afford, kind of like piracy. That might be controversial. So no, I think that that's very so the only difference would be that piracy is technically illegal, right? Whereas AI is not technically illegal. Now, it may come to be ruled that the way they train the AI mind is ruled as a breach of copyright, but that has not been made the case yet. Thus far, it is considered above board. So that's, I think, the only difference there. But you're right. Back when I was a kid, 9 out of 10 of my friends pirated all their CDs and burned them. They didn't buy their CDs. I never did because I was afraid of breaking the law and having the police show up at my house. Robert Evans says, one of my issues is when the DM uses AI and then claims that they are the ones that wrote the adventure. And in reality, the DM did very little and the players and AI did the lion's share. Okay, so you're saying that that bothers you. So here's the thing. A lot of times, here's the language people use. They'll say, I generated it with AI because I typed the prompt into AI. Thus, I generated it. So I did create it. AI is just a tool I used. It's sort of like I mowed the grass by pushing a lawnmower over the grass. And then someone might be like, no, you didn't mow the grass. The lawnmower mowed the grass. All you did was push it. If you got out there with scissors, then you could say you mowed it, right? That's kind of like the comparison. So that would be like, I'm not saying that because I'm saying that you're wrong about, people claiming they created things that AI created. I'm not saying that you're wrong about that. I'm just saying that that would be the argument that most pro AI people would give. AI is a tool. It's still a human who had to come up with a prompt, right? It's a human who had to diagnose the problem and go looking for the solution. ASDF New Guy says, Robert Evans, I'd consider that kind of similar to running a module. The module dictates, the DM modify. Garrick says 32 watching. Oh, heck yeah. Our numbers continue to go up. I'm very excited by this. Heck yeah. Awesome. Let me double check it real quick. What? 34 watching right now. Heck yeah. Thank you all for joining me. This is awesome. I'm very excited by this. This is a new record, I think. John Dennehy. Hey, John, how's it going? Says, as a community, we have spent years sharing PDF copies and stealing story ideas from books and films, but suddenly a GM using an AI tool is stealing food from starving creatives. Valid. Robert Evans says, sure, New Guy, but everyone knows at the table that the module was not written by the DM. So what Robert is saying is it's about disclosure, I think, is what Robert's saying. It's like disclosure. It's like, yeah, this is an AI-generated adventure. Please enjoy. It's like Dungeons and 20s, William says, for AI trying to make my own drawing would take me years for my book. Now I have it in seconds. Or needing it to save $800 for another artist, I pay $100 for various AI software. Valid, it's way cheaper. Starships and Steel says, I use extensive use of AI at home, i.e. chat GPT for tables and naming, etc. Art-wise, lets me create the items I want. I often spend an hour trying to find someone's image I can steal. That's funny. DQ Park says, I do like that you can write up a session and use AI to help lay it out for you in a structured manner rather than a load of mumbo jumbo put in paragraphs. That's valid. It's very good for formatting like labor intensive, like point and click things that could be like formatted very quickly and easily. That's super useful. I often use it to help me organize bullet points because it's really good at organizing things into bullets without me having to just go all through and organize the bullets. ASDF New Guy says, Robert Evans, I run modified modules for my players and don't tell them it's a module. Okay. So I guess you'd be in violation of Robert's standard there. Then that disclosure is the key, I think, is what Robert's point was. Starships and Steel says, if I'm producing something I might want to sell, no AI. Art is all paid for, generally stock art from drive-through. Okay, that's valid. That's another stance people take, is if you're going to sell it, you should hire humans. So that's another stance that some people take, not the pro AI people. Garrick says, 40 watching. Heck yeah, hell yeah. I think at least because this is such a hot button topic. And drop your comments. Those of you who are new in the chat, drop your comments and let me know what you think about this. I'm kind of reading these comments. We're going to go back to Discord here in a minute. But anyway, shabam. All right. Robert Evans says, reskinning the module and not giving credit to the authors seems at least dishonest to me. Okay, Robert, based on your previous comments, I would expect for you to say that because, once again, I think for you it's about disclosure, which is not unfair. That's not invalid. It's very, very understandable. Disclosure is important. Starships and Steel says, I'm actually running a Fallout game where I'm attempting to run strictly from AI, i.e. factions, story plot points, etc. Starships and Steel, I'd be interested to know how that's going. Let me know. Do your players enjoy it? Because I think another point of this whole conversation is it's about enjoyment, right? So it's like there's an element of this, like if the players enjoy it at the end of the day, did it really matter? Now there's a whole commercial side of it, but if we're just talking about gaming, because let's be really, I feel like, clear about this. The most important thing that could happen for TTRPGs in general is for a game master to sit down and run a fun game with their players. Here on GM Philosophy Discord, the whole mission is to empower game masters to run games that are more fun for themselves and their players. If AI can help you to do that, is there any problem? That'd be a good question. And it sounds like Starship and Steel is running what might be an experiment or what might just be the way that they like to run games, which is strictly from AI. So I'm wondering if it's working out, basically. Not a Jester, not a clown says, imagine ChatGPT representing someone's innocence in the court of law. I feel like a ChatGPT lawyer would be really useful. I don't know if it's allowed, but lawyers everywhere are probably using ChatGPT. I read an article about this. I heard that ChatGPT is replacing paralegal jobs because it's so good at it, and it would be good at it. Jason says, I set my alarm for 10 minutes prior. The alert from Discord helped also. I think you're talking about like the time we jump into the chat, maybe? I'm not totally sure, actually. Nullify says, as for using AI art being used for commercial use, the reason why I have a problem with that is that AI pulls from what is sees online without the artist's consent. There are cases where the AI brains are trained on what you would call copyrighted materials, and this is controversial. Absolutely. Komi Yoshi says, I'm a DM. I've only been using AI for image generation for it. NPs, monsters, items. I only used text AI once for help coming up with a riddle, and afterward, let them know it was AI assisted. Okay, did you feel like that was needed, or did you feel like, in the future you might use it without the disclosure? Tim Gallion, hey Tim, how's it going? Says, I use AI during gameplay when characters ask something which I draw a blank for. Often this moves the story and creative in different directions. I also use ChatGPT for that sometimes. ASDF New Guy says, Robert Evans, I don't know. I personally think maintaining the similitude of the game is more important than intellectual honesty. Like, I understand how plagiarism is a problem in the broad marketplace, but around a table, I don't think intellectual honesty is the priority. Just that Crediting all contributors isn't a priority. Do you add credits for any and all art you use for tokens? And then, yeah, commercially, I think selling an AI module would be much more ethically gray or even black and white. And then just that crediting all contributors isn't a priority. Do you add credits for any and all art you use for tokens? I think that's the end of ASD New Guy's thoughts on that. It was like a four-part comment because you can only type so much in the comments. Let's see here. Robert Evans says shabam. Shabam. Cube Virus says hi. How's it going, Cube Virus 07? Dirty Sock says it's a tool. Like you are in the car after the wheel, and wheel is the AI. Kamiyoshi says NPCs. Oh, that was something about earlier in the comment. Dirty Sock says you're steering the wheel left or right. DM Hostile Intent says, the only thing I'll keep to myself if running a module is the name of the module. I don't want to tell my players it's against the cult of the reptile god. Gives away the mystery. In other words, it sounds like DM Hostile Intent, you don't feel like at a friendly table disclosure is necessary, which I think Robert was in disagreement with. CubeVirus07 says, I use AI for puzzles, names, and most of it for like idea brainstorm. Nullify says, meanwhile, this is on the topic of the art, selling the art and stuff. Meanwhile, I see people use Renaissance paintings or old works of art for their games. I don't have a problem with that because those are art pieces of antiquity. Okay. In other words, they're in the public domain. Is that what you'd say? Like, makes them different? Robert Evans says, honesty is not a priority with the table. Oh, I think it was a clarifying question. Oh, and then ASDF News Guy said, yeah, commercially, I think selling an AI module would be much more ethically gray, and hence those comments. Starships and Steel says, RE Fallout, I think it is going pretty well. I have set it in the local city. The extent I'm using AI is definitely an experiment. We are currently on break, so other GMs can run. Okay. Dungeons of 20 says ChatGPT did pass the bar exam. Yes, it did. Nullify says the people behind these old pieces of art are long gone. Okay, interesting. So I guess that to you, Nullify, to you, it sounds like the real, let's say, evils of AI would be that it's taking money away from artists. If the artists are not with us anymore, money isn't being taken away from them, I think is maybe the point. That would maybe lead to the point you're making. I'm not sure if I'm right about that. Let me know if I have that right. DM Hostile Intent says, stealing from the dead is okay. Got it. Okay. Just said it in a whole different way. Okay, Garrick says, if I learn something from reading copyright material, do I have to not use part of my brain after that? Garrick is in here asking Garrick is going a level deeper. Garrick's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Dr. Wu says, if you're using AI to help your modules, you're selling or even distributing for free. That's definitely very bad. If you're running a game for a home table, I don't see the problem with that. Okay, Dr. Wu. Robert Evans says, new guy, yes, I give credit to the artist. Okay. Connor Johnson said, hot take, but training on copyrighted material versus a person being inspired by copyrighted material isn't that far off, especially as AI gets closer to general intelligence. That is the argument for training AI on copyrighted material. That is exactly the argument. So there are a lot of people who agree with that sentiment right there. Let's see here. ASDF New Guy says, specifically around the table, I don't think the rules of academia apply. Play a fun game and don't worry about the legalities of it. Robert Evans, at which point is it shows item? By the way, players, this art is by XYZ artist. So in other words, asking if there need to be constant disclaimers. Nullify says, I do agree AI art and other tools are tools. The problem with AI in general is that it doesn't understand certain nuances that people would put in a story or in a piece of art. Interesting. Okay. I'm trying to think. So it's like, that doesn't seem, I think that you're talking more about the usefulness of the tool here, though, not the ethics of paying for it versus hiring artists. That kind of sounds like two different conversations to me. which is fine. I'm just saying I don't think that comment was part of the previous conversation. DM Hostile Intent says, I only mean that if the name of the module gives anything away, then I'll keep that to myself. I will always admit to running modules and letting them know that I've toyed with them in some way. Aurus Aurelius says, I have used AI for my last game. How did it go, Aurelius? And welcome to the chat. It's great to see you. Starships and Steel says, all the art I want to use for my home game right now, setting up a SW sci-fi, isn't in public domain. Epic 1970s sci-fi art. Okay, interesting. Robert says, new guy, yes, usually at the end of the game. ASDF new guy says, I'll just call you new guy because that's what people are calling you. I don't know. I just don't think it's necessary to credit all your inspiration. Nullify says it is about right. New guy says, all said in love, by the way, Rob. Yes, we're having a good conversation. Nobody's mad. Aurus Aurelia says, it's a homebrew world, and so far it's been a good experience. My players are having fun. That's good. That's actually good. Not a Jester, not a Con says, jokes on y'all, I'm playing Solitaire. What? Starships and Steel says, Garrick Strangle, I had that struggle when I went back to school. What point does information I've read become mine, and when is it still plagiarism? These are deep questions. We have to start drawing some lines, don't we? We have to start drawing some moral and ethical lines about these things. Otherwise, we get lost in the web of strings that lead from one point to another point. Nothing is original if we follow them 100%, right? I mean, there's a lot of your DNA that was used by humans that came before you. At what point are you just a copy and not so original that you deserve to be called an original? New guy says, no problem with how you do it. I just don't think there's a moral wrong with letting a home game be a little loosey-goosey. Robert says, of course, new guy, no hate on this end. Having conversations is how we grow. Totally. Garrick says, Starship, the courts say non-competes can't prevent workers from using their knowledge in a later job. So there's an example of a line being drawn. Nullify says, yeah, that is an entirely different conversation. Okay. Jason says, I am using ChatGPT in my current game. So far, so good. Okay. JLAR17 says, I use ChatGPT for handouts, specifically for letters. My players have been able to maintain relationships with NPCs by becoming pen pals. I could never write all the letters for a weekly game. That's funny, actually. Do your players enjoy it? That's an interesting use for it, and it's kind of fun. Especially if you train ChatGPT on the personalities of the people who are writing letters. That's really funny. Mick D64 says, a friend of mine loaded up a whole Pathfinder module into a paid AI platform to run our Discord texting home game, and it gave him some really cool pictures, but had to verify all. D. Coupark says, what if you don't have enough income funds for a project you really want to create for illustration, art, proofreaders, etc.? I think AI is a godsend. That is exactly what William's point was earlier, and that is a very valid point. That's what digital marketing agencies say when they're trying to sell light bulbs, and they think, man, it'll cost us $2,000 to hire writers. Side-eye pays $10 a month for ChatGPT. Pays one junior level editor to run it and just do quick edits to make sure it doesn't spit out nonsense. Starships and Steel says, end of the day, AI isn't going anywhere. No, you are completely right about that. Nullify says, at the end of the day, at the end at day, I think that was a typo. I don't mind AI art used in home games. When they are used commercially, I find it unethical. Okay, so it sounds like you're drawing a line right there. Nullify sounds like you're drawing the line at using AI for commercial purposes. DM Hostile Intent says, new guy will be new guy until he isn't the new guy anymore. I think it's true. Starships and Steel says, Jar17, I used it for writing newspaper articles in Fallout. Dungeons of 20 says, my goal is to get my module going, and if AI can help with it, I'll use it. And if it makes me enough money for me to hire artists and give them time to work on all of it myself, I will. Shabam. Okay, so it sounds like, William, that you're kind of saying AI art is like a cool thing, but it sounds like you would prefer to hire a human for all of it if you had the option. Connor Johnson says, so there's a lot of discussion about using AI for home games. Well, what about a GM like Matt Mercer using AI? Not that he does. Would that be okay? What is the cutoff? Fair question. D. Coupark says laughing face. Nullify says, I know AI isn't going anywhere. Same with 3D animation, digital art, etc. We all have to adapt. We certainly do. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Dungeons and 20 says, either way, I hate AI. Okay. Like, that's a pretty, so you're saying it, but I will begrudgingly use it since I failed my charm test with a D20 roll of 1. That's funny. I'm going to get back to some of these Discord comments here real quick. I think we had a couple more Discord comments here. Dr. Fibes said, sorry to say, but sounds like a lot of kind of self-righteous comments. Well, I think a thing should be done this way, or it is somehow beneath the true nature of the thing. Yuck. So that was kind of an opinion Dr. Fibes had, kind of making... it sounds like Dr. Fibes was basically saying... people saying if it's not done this way, it's wrong, and that's like self-righteous sort of thing. I asked, do you like my dramatic thumbnail? Do it. Tell me if you like my dramatic thumbnail. Hit that thumbs up on the video if you like my dramatic thumbnail. Which, by the way, the image for which was created with AI art. Dun, 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 dun. What is it? Rick Sanchez says, go ahead and, or no, he was like, your boos mean nothing. I've seen what makes you cheer. I think is what Rick Sanchez said in the heist episode. Garrick says, NVIDIA hasn't killed the radio star. Yeah, no, that's true. Starship and Steel says, I would prefer to hire people and have human created art. 2 issues with realizing that. 1, cost, 2, time. Playing a game weekly or even monthly, having an artist turning out the volume of art I would need isn't feasible. And if it was, I couldn't afford it. That's very fair. Very fair. I'm going to tell you what, before AI, my drawings of things... Do any of you remember Hero Generator? Do you guys remember that program where you could like move the body parts in and change out the accessories and like create an image of a hero? I think it was called Hero Generator. Do any of you remember that? I used to use that for all of my NPCs because it was like the only thing there was that I knew of. JLR17 says, writing to their NPC friends and family has been their favorite part of the campaign. I do tell ChatGPT how the NPC would respond and read and edit to make sure any lore isn't broken. Yeah, for sure. But I'll bet it saves you like a ton of time. And so here's the thing. The fact that it's become their favorite part of the campaign, what does that have to say about the use of AI for it? If AI is doing the bulk of the heavy lifting and you're supervising and you're the one feeding it all the information it needs to do the letters... is that not you, JLR? You know, I have to say, I think humans do deserve credit for what they make with ChatGPT. Because I'll tell you this too. As a professional who uses AI in my work nearly every single day, AI is a lot more useful in my hands than in the hands of someone who's never used it and doesn't understand how to generate prompts and doesn't even understand how the AI formulates and puts prompts together to make their stuff. So there's an art to that too. So... yeah, I kind of feel like humans deserve some of that credit at least. It's not just a given that you're going to jump into AI and make the most awesome stuff. There is a learning curve to that too. Jason says, great thumbnail. Doom and gloomers get the clicks. They do. Everyone loves a little drama. I love to try. My rule of thumb for thumbnails is I have to inject a little bit of drama. I want a little bit of drama. I want someone to get a little bit upset. And then it'll make them click, right? I don't want to be like gratuitous. I just want to invent a little bit of drama. Robert Evans says, I am a bit of a Luddite, to be fair. I still build terrain and never use VTTs. So take that into consideration. Very fair. And that's very cool. People who build terrain are super cool people to play D&D with. And it's an art form that I've never, ever, ever engaged in. And I have a great appreciation for it. And AI certainly isn't doing that yet. When they hook it up to a 3D printer, it might, but not right now. Dungeons of 20 says, currently, without AI art, I'll never publish my module book, so we'll never see the light of day if I take a stance against it. William, I understand. D. Kupark said, I used Microsoft Paint before AI. Well, Microsoft Paint was out a long time before AI, so fair. Hot take. Does anyone remember what was that called? The Mac Macintosh Paint, like or Mac Draw. Do you remember the old Mac Draw program that came on like those big iMacs that had like they were the big tube sized ones and they had the colorful casing and they had that Mac Drawing or Macintosh Draw or whatever that program was, and it was really cutting edge for its day. You could like draw anything and put text graphics on it. All this old software. Anyway, Robert says, Robert Evans, you and I are basically the same person. I find myself agreeing with you a lot. Great minds think alike. That must be it. That is true. Great minds do think alike. And you both have very good and valid points. I love reading them and I love hearing them. Starships and Steel says, Dungeons and 20s. Any thought on kickstarting to raise money for the project? Mac D64 says 6 figures. That's it. That's what I do. That's what my art is. When I draw things, they're stick figures. Not good ones, but they are made of sticks and they're figures. Dungeons and 20 says, I finally used ChatGPT using my personality traits label for reactions. It was pretty dang cool. Kickstarting takes marketing on top of marketing still. It is surprisingly difficult to market a Kickstarter campaign. I will totally say that. Dr. Fibes says, you still talking? Yeah, I'm still talking. You know me, Dr. Fibes. I can talk for days on end. Starships and Steel says, Robert Evans, love terrain minis. Need to get back to the home game. Herminator says, my use of AI in my games is more along the lines of trolling on a random table. I use ChatGPT to get me started to think more on my own about whatever particular project I'm working on at the moment. Fair. Starships and Steel says, 3D printing, AI generating 3D objects at a level that will be a thing is coming sooner rather than later. Yes. In fact, I'll bet that there are people out there who have managed to get that working already. Just not me. Not me. I'm very tech challenged. I have a hard time with OBS. It took me 2 whole YouTube lives just to figure out how to run OBS without my mic sounding bad. Robert Evans says, Starships being around the table with friends, in my opinion, is superior to any digital table. So I do not fundamentally disagree with you. It's just that VTTs bring so many cool things to the table. I cannot hate on them too much. But I do agree that having friends around the table is a very special thing. And it's so hard to replace that. And I would never want to see that go away. Connor Johnson says, I love building terrain. I try really hard to keep my games hybrid, to keep some of that in-person element while letting people keep their normal schedules most of the time. Wait a minute. I love building terrain. I try really hard to keep my games hybrid. Oh, hybrid with VTTs. Nice. Okay. And building terrain. Awesome. Dr. Five says, hope no one was injured during this production. We'll listen to the whole thing later and add if moved to action. I never talk too much. Ha ha ha. Shabam. Dr. Fibes, you definitely did help to spur on the conversation in the Discord, for which I appreciate. Heck yeah. Starships and Steel says, Robert Evans, my common group is split across several cities and countries. We still meet twice a year for a weekend of gaming. Starships and Steel, do you run VTTs in between the time, or do you only get together that twice a year? Which, that's really cool if you do get to meet twice a year, even though you play VTTs. That's really cool and fun. Jason96 says, ChatGPT has added projects and canvas options. I like the canvas option as I almost always change up the results. Okay, so I have a hot take. This isn't actually about D&D, but I have a hot take about ChatGPT's Canva option. I use Canva every single day, and I also use ChatGPT every single day. And I actually do not find the ChatGPT to Canva option, unless you're talking about something different, but the ChatGPT to Canva option is not necessarily super great in my opinion. I kind of find that it takes more time to fix what it does than not. That's not like a criticism of the work together. It just is my personal take on it. I tried it a couple times as someone who loves ChatGPT and Canva, but I did not think they worked super well together. Starships and Steel says, yes, we play across VTT weekly. Heck yeah, nice. Mostly weekly, nice. Robert Evans says, Starship, those weekends together games seem more special, no? Robert definitely is pro the in-person social time, which I do not disagree with. Starships and Steel says, and then monthly with another group, which is also split across multiple cities now. since the pandemic. Robert says, yo, my people, hit that like button. Thank you so much, Robert. That's really awesome of you. With that being said, we have been talking for quite a while, and I'm afraid I should probably head out. I have to get back to work. I'm going to take another drink of my caffeine here, and thank you all for hanging out with me. I will be here tomorrow for another episode of Coffee Break Live, and I'll be here at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. My video topic for tomorrow for the 6 a.m. video is, let's see, something like, is there a point to even playing D&D? And if so, what is the point? That was kind of what my video tomorrow is going to explore. It's a little bit more philosophical and a little bit like life goal oriented. So kind of interesting. Those videos never quite get as many clicks, but I do love to delve into them. I love to delve into the philosophical parts of it. All right, guys, have a great day. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and for sharing in this conversation. All of you have a great day, and